Welcome to Sister My Soul, a podcast birthed out of our hearts. Two soul sisters with nearly 2 decades of combined wisdom as experts in our fields of holistic and alternative therapies. This is Keri Campbell.
And I'm Victoria Jaswick. Our intention is to offer the essence of soul sister connection that calls us to our best. Nourishing conversation that deepens connection to self, soul, and one another.
For the next hour, we'll explore concepts, perspectives, transformational and healing tools that support us on our journey as women and sisters. We are so grateful you are here to join us for some nurturing Sister My Soul time.
Welcome to Sister My Soul. I am Victoria.
And I am Keri.
And we are now on episode 3.
Yes. How exciting is that?
Super excited.
We've done it, sister.
We're grooving.
This ball is rolling.
It is happening, right?
Yes.
I know. That felt that way kind of on episode 2 that we are really doing this.
Right.
Yeah. And so we welcome you, and we've got a great topic today, and it's all about acceptance. Yeah, and I really need this topic today for myself.
We need a lot of that.
Totally.
I think we all do every day.
Yeah, but before we get into topic, let's get into just connecting with each other like we like to, right?
Yes.
Just like we're having a little sister soul,
Absolutely.
time together. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how you're doing, and and drop into that space. And by the way, we invite you at home to really, at home, wherever you're watching this, to really just drop in and connect with yourself as well. So, yeah.
Well, honestly, I was doing fabulously this morning, feeling pumped, all of that.
Yeah.
And then we came down to get started and started working with technical issues and glitches and switched cameras and computers, and it started pouring down rain with a little bit of slush.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went,
Right.
And so, okay, all right. And I didn't want that. I didn't accept that, actually. I didn't. Talk
Interesting.
about acceptance. I didn't accept that. I was like, no, we're recording today. No, not this. And then I was like, well, okay, this, because this is what's happening.
It's what it is.
So here we are. I'm accepting the beautiful, more cold, rainy weather.
And actually, for those who don't know, we just got through a pretty intense snowstorm. Many of us.
Snowpocalypse.
Yeah, right? Is that how they call it?
Yeah, the snowpocalypse.
Snowpocalypse.
It was, too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Many of us were locked in. And, I liked the first 2 days of Cocoon Time. And then it was like, okay, got to get back to work, got to get back to life. And it was too much. Yeah.
I actually discovered something about myself in that I was totally okay with being totally socked into my house for a week, 7 days. And I thought, wow, I could make a good hermit.
Oh, me too.
I was.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I knew I was an introvert that loves people. Don't get me wrong. I love you.
We love you.
Love you. But, I was...
Actually, it's so funny because I thought I want to do a podcast. I wanted to talk to you about this, about introvert and empath and highly sensitive people who love to just kind of pull in and we need to, right?
Right.
But
But that's another podcast.
But, for me, my check-in, I'm kind of in that space that you're talking about too. I woke up this morning so excited, really just feeling like we are 100% go. It's happening. I started to feel
and this acceptance thing, I got that.
Yeah, acceptance, right? Yeah, right. But an interesting phenomenon has been happening, and I've talked to you about this. I'm tracking getting excited about our podcast, our project, this work together, and then feeling like this little sabotager, which might be another podcast for sure.
That self-sabotager.
Right, because I didn't sleep well last night. And although my heart is so excited and I've got a lot of joy, I feel really tired. My energy feels low. And, I think I'm not alone with this, that when we're tired, we don't feel our best. We don't feel like we look our best.
And then we go to work judging ourselves and don't just accept it. We're just freaking tired.
We're freaking tired.
We've done a lot. We're tired.
Right. and so here we are. And to surrender to how perfect is our topic today, acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. So as we are selecting these topics, we are really there for us and for the container we're creating together for, those that we are blessed to have follow this, which is really great. But really timely. I had a teacher once who said that she used to pick her topics based on specifically what she knew she wanted to practice. And so she said, I'm going to start having the topic just be all about abundance, because she said I find out I have to learn about it. So I like to learn about abundance, right?
Well, there's that old saying, we teach best what we need to learn most.
Oh, yes. That is so true, isn't it? Yeah. So that's where I am, and here we are. And this topic, acceptance, really, I think that is something I'm practicing with and I'm trying to expand into, because I want to show up more for life. Yeah. I just want to show up as me, bringing what I have to offer, and I want to hold acceptance for myself in the same level I accept friends and my clients and people I love. And I can tell you I'm not quite there, but I'm getting better. Right? That level of acceptance.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Wonderful.
Yeah. And when you think of acceptance, what comes to mind for you?
Really, mine this week has been a big week of accepting nuances of relationship.
Ooh.
Especially between Ron and I.
Her husband.
Yeah, my husband. And accepting that he does things very differently than I do in many ways.
Yeah.
And, our life, you all don't know this, Victoria does, but our life together changed dramatically this year because my husband had a brain tumor.
Wow.
And had to have that removed surgically. And wow, what a huge thing to have. Even when it's not within the brain cavity, it was on the cerebellum, outside.
Yeah.
But especially at 75 at the time, it's a huge thing. And so I go into protective caretaking mode and want to control everything so everything's okay.
Yeah.
And just this week, I realized I'm trying to control too much. I am not accepting the possibility of things being really different. I kind of want to make sure things stay the same. Not the same. That's not true. But I want to make sure everything's okay.
And that you're safe, right?
Things are safe, that he's safe, that things are taken care of, that,
Yes.
So I've been doing all of the driving, taking care of everything around the house, all of this, all of that, because I don't want him to feel frustrated with his situation because he is not accepting where he is. I'm not accepting what's happening. And finally, just 3 days ago, I just went, whew, stop. Stop that.
Right.
Just stop.
Yes.
And so I started handing him the keys when we went to leave to go somewhere. Not that he needs to drive everywhere we go. Not that there needs to be this, the men drive everywhere. But I will tell you, ladies, any of you that are married to someone who's significantly older than you, he's 23 years older than me, that's part of their masculinity. And he's had such a huge change in that area this year.
Yes.
And then, here I go a little bit more taking control of everything.
Yeah.
And so just that little thing. Here, honey, why don't you drive? Will you open the door for me? Those things.
Yes, right.
It's accepting what's going on and where life is right now.
Yes.
And embracing that.
Embracing is, I love that word, embracing. And that's it, really. The key is accepting ourselves right where we are. And I think this was our subtitle for this podcast. Acceptance, accepting ourselves right where we are, just as we are. And extending it to those we love and those we share our lives with. But when you were talking about, when I think about the opposite of acceptance, I think of judgment. And I think that judgment is a natural thing we do.
Oh, yeah.
Because our brain, the primary mechanism of our brain is to keep us safe. And so it's always checking the external. Are we safe? What's that? So we are judging things. When we practice, we can get to more of a discernment rather than judgment, because judgment seems critical. It seems harsh.
Right.
But really it comes from that place of, I want to be safe and I want my loved ones to feel safe.
Right. Yeah.
And the irony is that place of acceptance is, for me, acceptance means we shift into just relaxing into this moment. What is relaxing into this body? We were talking before we started recording that I wanted to be really transparent. There's a part of me that when we switched from audio to video, I didn't really want to do it. Nope. Because, as I've shared before, I've gone through this health journey that had this expectation of that, take that 1 year off to really get it together. I was going to get back in shape, all of this. Well, I'm not. I'm over my optimum weight. And it's been talk about a daily practice every day, looking in the mirror. And
right.
You know how you have that idea of what you look like? And then you see yourself in the mirror and you go, huh. Right? Like, and so you have to get into that adjustment through acceptance. Like, yeah, that is what I look like. And here I am. And the partner of acceptance is love, right? Self-acceptance and love. And can I flow myself some love to say, yeah, this is my body and here I am. And also the acceptance of aging, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like when I asked when we were starting, I was like, if I lift this light up, does my jowl show as much?
Yeah.
Let's face it, I turned 53 this month. I got a jowl.
Right.
It's in my DNA.
And I get a belly.
It's a beautiful
right now,
jowl.
Yeah.
I like
That's
it.
right. So really, that we are talking about this for us and inviting you into this place of we're not experts in acceptance.
No.
It's a daily practice. And I often joke that life, as it unfolds, gives you more things to practice with, right? But I do love that. And that's actually a go-to for me. Just what do I need to tether into to get myself back to acceptance? Yeah. So accepting ourselves right where we are. How are you with that? When you look in the mirror, right? We get that morning opportunity, as Louise Hay taught us about mirror work.
I do that.
Do you?
And especially just in the last 2 years, I seriously, I think most of us when growing up, we'd walk by the mirror and we immediately start the judgment of this, that, and the other. I mean, we're so bombarded with media and pictures and, what we're supposed to look like and what's attractive and all that stuff.
Yes.
But I have the last 1.5 to 2 years, I'll walk by the mirror and I'll just, if I catch a glimpse of myself, I'll say, you're so cute.
Oh, I love that.
You're so cute.
Wow.
Look at your cute little butt. Look at your pretty little eyes.
And you do it like a turnaround and you look. Wow.
Not that everything's in the butt, but, that's what we judge the most.
Oh, wow. I love that practice. And I have to tell you that mirror work for me was really, really healing. And if you don't know what we're talking about mirror work, Google Louise Hay. Yeah. The amazing,
beautiful woman.
Absolutely.
God,
the queen of affirmations and bringing us positive thinking. But mirror work really is just that. Can you be present to yourself when you look in the mirror? Right. And I remember when I first heard that concept, I could not. It took me the longest time. I had such deep inner judgment and criticism. And I still do. That's something I have to work with, is the critics front and center. How can I bring acceptance? And I wouldn't even look in the mirror. And then I kept doing mirror work and affirming. And I can remember one day it was just like this turning point. I think I might have been in my car and I looked in the rearview mirror and I was like, hey. And I could remember this absolutely acceptance.
Yeah. So isn't that a sweet moment? That's such a sweet moment.
Really. Yeah. And ultimately what we're talking about is cultivating that deep friendship and connection with ourselves, right?
Yes.
And acceptance is one of those keys.
Yeah. When I went through my counseling training, we spent an entire weekend on mirror work from a standpoint of inner child. So we did that mirror work speaking to our inner child, and being the mother of 2 young women, it was easy for me to go there because I just said, Keri, you need to speak to yourself as you speak to your girls.
Yes.
Because I absolutely adore my girls, and they know it because of the way I've spoken to them.
Right.
And so I started speaking to myself in that way.
Beautiful.
And that's when things really shifted for me years ago.
Yeah.
It was when I truly, truly started loving those eyes that were looking back at me in the mirror.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love doing inner child work and have worked with that with myself and imagining that inner child in your heart. And, just hand over heart and just connection right there. Yeah. But you remind me of a story, and I have some quotes on acceptance. Maybe we'll get there, but we're just having girl talk now, and I love that. But I remember years ago, I used to teach the Artist's Way. I'd have a group of women do.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, Artist's Way. Oh, yeah, Artist's Way. Julia Cameron.
Okay.
You'd love this book, and it's a workbook, so you go through it. So I just guided women through the workbook, and this one time, and this is when I was in Los Angeles, and it was with a group of girlfriends, and we went to, I don't think we have it here, but it was like a pottery place where you go and you paint your pottery, and then you,
fun.
Right?
Yeah,
and then you go pick it up later.
So much fun. Yeah.
So fun. And when you're not in a level of acceptance, though, it isn't so fun. Because you're not just flowing. I think acceptance allows us just to be, flow, whatever.
I think that's why they added wine to those painting parties.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, because that,
Sure, the liquid courage, right? To get us to that place of acceptance that if we practice, we can get there on our own. But what I did, it was so cool, was I went and picked them up, and I packaged them all up, and I had everyone open them one at a time. And each person, I couldn't have been more perfect. I wish I had videotaped it. Each person, one by one, they take their pottery out and they're like, oh gosh, I didn't think this color was going to look like this. And I made this mistake here. Do you see my mistakes? And everyone's like just downing themselves and judging with this piece, right? I said, okay, put it back in the package. Put it back. Take a moment. And I think I might have did a meditation of connecting to your inner child. Now, open them. And I want you to imagine your 7-year-old just brought this home from school for you.
Love that. That's awesome. Yes.
And the shift in that room, I still have chills.
Right.
The shift of, it's beautiful.
Right. The giddiness that happens because you're just,
You're so
you love
delighted.
everything your child makes. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I just got full body chills.
Me too.
Right? Like, I love this color and look at this and wow. As you bring that to my awareness, can we meet ourselves at that level of we are.
That just made me kind of tear up.
I know.
That's so sweet.
I know. And here's what comes to me now. Can we all just accept whatever your faith or belief is, but we are children of the universe. We are children of God, however you connect.
We have to nurture that within ourselves.
Yeah, right.
And allow and accept. Accept.
Yes.
A lot of us as children didn't get love. They got judgment. And so we have to relearn and do that for ourselves.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Paying attention to whose voice is this in my head.
Right.
If it's not loving, it's not God, and it's not your true essence. Right. If it's not acceptance, then what's in there that we need to be mindful of and really bulk up the acceptance and love to counteract that.
And I don't know about you, and now that I've kind of gone through and done a lot of the inner work for acceptance of self, I'm finding now my work is acceptance of my spouse.
Sure.
And being a little bit of, I didn't used to think that I was, but being a little bit of a controller. I find myself, I have to, accept that I kind of like to control things. I like things to go a certain way. And as I've worked through meditations and had some really amazing spiritual experiences of actually seeing my spouse's highest self. And so, which is amazing and wonderful. But now I have this really high standard to hold him to because I've seen this, you know?
Right.
And that can kind of catch us up.
Sure.
That little, is that a spiritual bypass?
Right.
Not quite exactly, but something like that. Just working my work definitely is on accepting and giving him more space to be himself.
Right.
And finally, ladies, I'm not so good at that.
But what we're talking about are these layers of places that we meet ourselves and see how are we doing with that. And so I'm hearing also in their expectations.
Oh, yeah.
We have expectations of how our partners should be, how life should be, how. Right. And so expectations, and when we are kind of feeling let down by our expectations, that is an invitation to go back to acceptance. like go back there and practice there.
Radical Acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a wonderful book, by the way.
Right. Tara Brach.
To check in there.
Yeah. I love her technique in that book. If I remember it correctly, she calls it RAIN. Do you remember that one? RAIN, where it's to be mindful about what's happening in your environment, in your world, in your body, and so R stands for recognize, just recognizing. I'm recognizing some judgment. I'm recognizing.
Yeah, it's usually right here.
Is that where yours is?
Yeah. In the belly.
Yeah. So, and maybe I might feel like my heart's closing or whatever. So recognizing. A is allowing. So you give it space, because when we try to resist it or push it down, it gets bigger, right? What you resist persists, right?
Yeah.
I think she says is investigate. Like, what is this connected to? What is this about? What belief is opening here? And then the N I can't remember. And I remember I always changed it to nurturing, just nurturing to the new place.
Like
nurturing
nice.
The new place. But I think it might be a Buddhist term that she uses. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But, nurturing yourself to the new place. Once you recognize
become neutral, maybe?
Maybe it could be neutral. I'll have to look it up. And, when we post this, when we reference things like this, we'll put,
we'll put it on our Facebook page or the YouTube, in the comments or something.
Yeah. To get the accurate
information. Which, by the way, visit that and comment.
Yes, please. Please,
follow whatever you do on all of those things.
Isn't that's actually an interesting thing to work with acceptance. I have to tell you, this whole social media.
I know. We're trying to embrace it.
We have an intention to reach out to women, and this is the best way we can do it. But
we wish we could pick up a rotary phone and dial, and
yeah. Well, that's going way old school, way back. Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Right? Yeah. But like the follow me thing, like follow me on Instagram, I just get like this little in my throat, it feels so weird. I wish there was a different word.
But in order to get the message out, that's what we need.
Exactly.
So we have to accept it.
Acceptance. Yeah. So what I was thinking too with acceptance, though, having done grief work, that the model by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross on the 5 stages of grief, and I was thinking, when it popped in my head, I'm like, how does that apply to this conversation? And then I thought, well, where doesn't it apply, right?
Right.
So, because life it's a series of adjustments and shifting, as you talked about with your husband, right?
Yeah.
Life as we know it changing.
Yep.
Bodies as we know it changing.
Yep.
Everything changing.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting when I looked at that model and thought, yeah, it does make sense. So the 5 stages, denial, right? No, I'm not getting older. No, I still fit in my size 6 pants, right? So denial doesn't work. Then the bargaining. If only I put a little more cream on, maybe I won't age as quickly, or maybe if I whatever, that bargaining. Sadness, the sadness of this is what is. So, but vital in every step of our life, right? And then there's anger, frustrated.
Yeah.
Maybe you notice that with your husband, things are a little different, feeling angry.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And then
accepting his frustration with the situation, and
right. Yeah. So, but I was thinking about all the places I've had challenges with whatever, and how I could apply all of those stages. And then, of course, the 5th and final, most vital stage of this model is acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we think of grief as the death of a loved one, but grief is any time life as we know it is different.
Right. Yeah. I think we experience grief over, very small things sometimes, and then, of course, the large extended grief of true, intimate loss. Did you have, I think you had some quotes or some things you wanted to share today, or do you have anything that comes to mind? I do, but something interesting that happened to me, I guess this was Tuesday morning, and I awoke. I hadn't been thinking about, this podcast of acceptance or even acceptance in general. Was just really thinking more about ego and how we get tripped up with that.
Yeah.
And just really working on gratitude and forgiveness and all of that in general, kind of that week in my meditations.
Yeah.
And I woke up in those wee hours of the morning. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Just laying there and flowing energy and working on my intentions, like we talked about last week. And then just kind of began to drift back into that state of in-between bliss. And it just came to me. It's no wonder that we struggle with ego and acceptance and judgment. We came from light. We came from light that is, ultimate consciousness, bliss, connection, freedom. And then we came down and we went into this body. And our awareness here is separate from everything. And so that to me is the ultimate acceptance.
Yes.
Of that, okay, I'm here. This is what I've chosen. And I woke up and I was just like, wow.
Wow.
I felt so blessed by that for myself.
Yeah.
And it brought tears to my eyes. And I told Ron, and he said, wow, that's kind of a big deal.
Kind of.
And I said, yeah, that is a big deal. And ever since then, I think that was the when my week just really started to shift. And I was more accepting of, the situation, of myself in this, body. And,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Oh.
It really, wow. And really, that's, if we can remember that, again, I reference this so much, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It's in the human experience we have the judgment and the guilt and the shame and all that stuff. When we can connect to the essence of who we are and remember the gift of this life. The miracle of life.
And that all of that light that we came from is still inside here and connected to the other lights, to the other sister. Literally soul sisters. That's how trees communicate with one another. That's how we communicate with one another. I mean, and the more we can accept that.
Wow, you bring me back to the story. I'll say really quickly, I'm loving this conversation so much. It's really feeding my soul.
And
you
are.
Oh, gosh.
I know you are.
Oh, yeah. And we need to have tissues. I always remember.
I know, right?
Because,
Prop ad,
cry a
tissue
lot.
box.
And that really just opened my heart so much, Keri. Thank you. And gosh,
I
remember years ago that the situation happened. I was in my 20s. That, long story short, was at a party with my best friend, her husband. I got in a fight with her husband, really, and I left. But I left angry, so angry. Long story short, I was in a car accident, got rear-ended, went to a healer the next day. I need to track this healer down. I can't remember his name. I would like to track him down. But he put this thing on my forehead, a babooty. And I had this, I don't know what kind of experience. I felt like I was floating out of my body. All I felt was love. Love. I'm really condensing a very sacred story here, but by the time I got home and I called my friend, she's like, how are you? Are you okay? You must be so angry at so-and-so. And I said, no, I could not access any anger in my body at all. I had touched into that complete realm of
consciousness bliss.
Blissed out, loved everybody. I remember walking down the street and just wanting to hug everybody. Where was the anger gone? Where was the problem gone? So that place is possible, right? And through meditation and awareness.
It is.
I love it. But also the thing that when you were talking about that, and by the way, what time is it that you wake up when you say that you wake up in the bliss moment? Or do you have a regular time you wake up?
It's typically like 3:30 to 5:30.
Okay, yeah.
That window, the whole veil thing, there's something to it.
I for me, it was always like 4:30, 4:40, and 4:44, they say is angel time. So I'd be like, that's extra special, 4:44. But I heard Guru Singh said that is the ambrosial hour, whatever, and again, the veil is thin and we're just, and it is bliss time. It's so beautiful. But it made me think of Wayne Dyer saying, acceptance is to know that you're not your body.
No.
You're not your hair. You're not your job. You're not your money. You're not your shoes. You're not anything but that essence that you leave with, you came in with and leave with. And that is, as you touched on so beautifully, that is ultimate acceptance and free. I already feel like Yeah, right. And that's
and at the same time, I want to touch on with that. A lot of times we think that we have to kind of separate out of this body to reach this, place of spiritual enlightenment or whatever. And I'm of the mind and the thinking that honestly, we have to completely and utterly embrace this body.
Yes, right.
And accept this body. Yes. And work with this body.
What a tool to work with.
To have that light shine through. Exactly.
Yeah. A great feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback loop. Like how is, in this moment, how is my body? Right. And that, again, meeting with acceptance.
Yeah.
And, I don't know about any of you. This was when I got into my 50s. I think it might have been in my 40s when I started having more of the weight issue. Mm-hmm. I've always carried a little extra, for safekeeping, But
that means you have more fascia to be in communication with the world.
I like it. I like that positive reframe. I'm not, heavy. I have more fascia.
That's right.
But it used to be I would put on a few pounds and I'd go, okay, let's get back into some routine and I'd have instant recovery, and that kind of went away. So that a new thing to accept. So then I started to lean into maybe this is my practice right now, just to accept the little bit of extra, the changing in my endurance or whatever, to kind of lean into that, because I think it is through acceptance. This is the tricky thing with acceptance, I think, anyway. I'd love to hear what you think, that until we fully accept, we can't fully change. It's like accept where we are to move to where we desire to be, right?
Absolutely. Acknowledge, accept.
Yes.
And then move through.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of us, a lot of my clients and myself too, on occasion and in the past, definitely a lot more, was the other way around. Like, I'm not, if I accept this, it means I'm stuck here. I'll always be this way. I'll always have this situation.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
In researching through our topic, I think that's a lot of fear for a lot of more highly motivated people. They think, okay, if I step into acceptance, that's going to, kind of mess with my motivation.
Right.
And I'm going to become complacent.
Yes.
And true acceptance is not about that at all. It's actually even more motivating. That's what I've found this week by moving into another layer of that with my spouse. Is it's re-energized me more for the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that acceptance gives us more possibilities,
more space to create.
More space,
really.
Yeah. And acceptance is not the same as giving up.
Right. No.
Right?
No.
Or quitting, or
right.
I'm done. This is it. This is
or
the best
settling,
it's
or resolving, or
exactly. Acceptance is, let me take a deep breath and expand and see where I am and what is possible, and move from there.
Yeah.
I try to the best of my ability, if it's a quote, if it's a process, if it's something, to honor the person or the space I got it from. I really try that. And I kind of have that. I have to tell you, this is kind of funny, but I'm going to admit it. It's a tiny little bit of Facebook policing when I see somebody posting a quote that I know who said that, and I'll go under, like,
you're not going to accept that.
No. It's so funny. Like, what is
that's
that
something
about?
You can change,
right? and it's an honoring thing.
It truly is. I'm the same way. Like, don't plagiarize.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I can't remember, I always invite people, if you know the origin of this, let me know, because it's not mine. But it was a little reference I had, and I've had it really since my 20s. And that was something like, you have three choices. If you're in a situation, and you don't like it, or you're having struggle or problems with it, or frustrated, you must change it. Change it. That's right. The first one is change it. If you can't change it, you must accept it. If you can't accept it, you must leave it. But we can't leave our bodies. We can't leave our relationships. We can't. So then it loops back to, if you can't change it, and we can't change other people. Right. So we land over and over again in acceptance. We must accept. We must practice that level of acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, what is that? It's a deep, it's a deep level of love.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Because if we learn to be accepting of ourselves, exactly where we are, that gives us a deeper level of love for ourselves and a deeper level from which to love others.
All connected, right?
Yeah,
it's like any given moment, these spiritual principles we're talking about is this. It might need more acceptance, more love, more surrender,
right,
and that kind of expanding it all.
Right.
So I'm curious. Then maybe we can wrap up with this and invite you to think about this too. What is different? Like for me, when I am embodying more acceptance, not just thinking I need acceptance, when I really feel that place of deep acceptance, what shows up? Like what am I present to, and what does it allow me to experience, right? And I think ultimately is the experience of just being myself, 100%, showing up 100%, and those are the people I admire the most. When I, when I will watch and see a woman just free in her being,
right.
What is she doing? She is practicing 100%
She's in the flow
with self-acceptance.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that I really want to step into that, really allowing more acceptance so that I can be myself and be my silly self. When people tell me that, I think of people who don't know me, because I can go way in, and I maybe even a guard will come up, and I remember in high school, even way back when, people thinking that I was a snob. And I know that sometimes that comes across. So people in my community, especially, if you see and perceive a guard in me, it is not that I don't love and want to connect. It is that I have just gone into my own world because maybe I'm not feeling
busy inside there.
Busy inside, not accepting myself.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm connected and open, I'm a silly gal, right?
She is. She is.
Love to, and so are you, by the way. You were so silly. Yeah, and I love that. And so that is an indicator.
Yeah.
I'm embodying acceptance. So what's it like for you when you're fully in your acceptance? What does that feel like?
It really is a very joyful place.
Yeah.
It really is a very joyful place. And easy,
Easy.
Things
once more easy, right?
Yeah, it's so much more easy.
Yeah.
And I sing more.
Yeah.
And I talk to my dogs more when I'm just in that place of flow.
Yeah.
And joy. And
flow and joy. That was my intention for today, this morning, because last episode, if you didn't go, we videotaped that one, right? That was a video?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so go watch it if you didn't. And we talked all about intention, and so I've been practicing every day.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah. So today it was flow and fun. Flow and fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we would love to hear what acceptance means to you, or what area maybe this has inspired you to work on in your life. And find out where you are with that.
Yeah, and what it feels like for you when you give yourself permission to drop into more acceptance. And really, a simple tool also is on a scale of 1 to 10. 10, woo, I'm feeling acceptance. To 1,
I love her. Woo, woo.
Yeah. To not so much. I need to kind of up level a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just a good check. Where am I today with acceptance?
Right.
And what would a 6 be or a 7 be, right?
Yeah.
So all of that, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
On the YouTube page where we're launching, and also on the Facebook page, Sister My Soul, right? 2 places to check in with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where we would love to accept your comments and your interaction, and know that we will always respond to those from a loving heart of acceptance.
Absolutely. Yes. So thank you for being with us today.
Yeah.
Take good care of yourselves, and Blessings until we meet again.
Thank you for joining us today and taking this time to sister your soul. We would love to keep the conversation and connection going, so please visit us on our Sister My Soul YouTube channel and our Facebook page, where you can leave your comments and inspirations. In the meantime, take good care of yourself, and we wish you many blessings.